MGHS Hybrid Plus. This is ZS's smaller brother, and I think it looks quite nice. Just like the ZS, they didn't go crazy with the shapes. Something, crazy futuristic. Looks pretty good. Also, I like this red color. There is no electronic boot opening here, but you have to remember the price of this car. This one fully loaded is about 26,000 euros, and it does come with a fair bit of stuff. And actually, if I think about it, there's also a backup camera here, non-hidden, like on most cars. If I think about it, it's pretty good value for money. Also, I actually prefer a manual boot instead of an electronic one. Per usual, let's go to the wide-angle lens and let's sit in the back behind my driving position. And if I am behind my driving position, there's actually a fair bit of space, almost a hand worth for my knees, and I can put my feet sort of under the front seat, not fully, but it's actually quite comfortable. The seats are also quite comfortable. That's been told to me by passengers, and yeah, it's not a bad place to be. You do have your own vents down here, your own USB-A for charging a single device or a splitter, and thankfully everyone gets their own handles, which is kind of nice. Let's go to the meat of it. The front, the driver's seat. Close the doors, turn on ignition, which is down here with this snazzy start-stop button. And one more time for contact. There we go. So we have a smaller digital infotainment screen, and then also digital clusters on the left and right, but they're not actually screens. They look pretty good. However, it's quite busy on the main screen. The steering wheel, just like in the MG3 and the MG ZS, is very nice, quite light. I like the buttons, they're nice to use. And the infotainment screen is much faster than the MG3, so it's much nicer to use. Right now it might look a little bit delayed, it's probably still loading, but otherwise it's fairly snappy to use, and yeah, it's much nicer than the MG3 one. So I'm quite happy about that. So every time when I get into this car, all I have to do is this: just go to car settings, go to MG Pilot, and then turn off the speed limit warning so it doesn't beep at me all the time. Otherwise, you do have some physical controls over here for volume, for home, your hazard blinkers, heating, and of course for turning the ventilation on and off. You've got two more USB plugs down here, an A and a C. No wireless charging as far as I know, even though you have two pads over here, but I couldn't wireless charge here at all. This pretty cool looking shifter over here, a button for parking, a start stop, and your mode, your drive mode, and some small, very small cup holders, which I don't think will fit much. But otherwise, I actually really like the look of it, and huge plus to MG for actually incorporating this screen into the dashboard. It's not just a monitor jutting out of it all. It's so annoying when they all do that. And this actually looks pretty nice. This is like semi-soft material, which is surprising. I thought it was hard plastics. This is also some soft leather. And on the doors, you've got hard plastics with stitching. this has a 1.5 liter turbocharged internal combustion engine and an electric motor. This is a smaller battery, so you can still do some kilometers on electric power alone, but a lot of the times the internal combustion engine will turn on to charge up the battery, and of course also to help accelerate and drive the car, especially at higher speeds. So, which naturally means, like most of these types of cars, it's going to be the most efficient, usually in slower traffic. Not heavy traffic though, that's where electric cars really excel. But right now, the average fuel consumption I have is pretty darn close to what the manufacturer says on the specs, which is, I think they say 5 to 5.2, and I've got 5.2 liters per 100 kilometers right now. I managed to get it down to 5.1 as well. But if you're going to be doing a lot of motorway driving at 130, 140 kilometers per hour, then you should expect a little over 6 liters per 100 kilometers of fuel consumption. But let's forget the hybrid drive right now, because we already know that MG does pretty well with that, with its larger SUV brother, the ZS, or is it the HS? I don't know. The naming of MG cars is a bit, it's not very catchy at all. But as far as that is concerned, let's leave it. What I'd like to talk about is the value for money, because it's not a huge SUV, but it's a slightly bigger SUV, and you've got lots of space. You've got the speed limit warning, which I have to turn off every time I get into the car. However, unlike in the MG3, for example, the infotainment here is quite snappy. It's actually a lot faster and a lot nicer to use than it was in the MG3 hybrid that I drove. So this is definitely a big plus of this car. It's got all, your lane assist, radar cruise control, automatic limiter, yada yada yada, navigation, and so on and so forth, and it works quite nicely. It also has a digital instrument cluster, but it's not all digital. It's got sort of digital stuff on the sides. It's not just one screen. But the really interesting thing is, for this price point, you say like, ooh, I've got all this stitched leather here, but it's actually not. These are hard plastics, but they've got stitching. So you can tell your friends, look at that, I've got leather, just don't touch it, but I've got leather. I like that. It's kind of cool. It actually kind of works, as long as you don't touch it, of course. So, it can be quite fuel efficient. It's really comfortable inside. It drives fairly nicely. Does it drive as nice as its bigger brother? No, definitely not. You can feel that it's not quite as tuned as that one. That one drove a lot nicer, especially because of the regenerative braking, which is quite very handy. It's fairly strong for this hybrid. But the problem is, when you have it on the highest setting, which I always like to have, because if possible I like to have one pedal driving, which is not possible here, but I like to have it as close as possible, then you control regenerative braking with your throttle. But the problem is, with this car, the regenerative braking, all of it, is in a very, very tiny part of the range of the throttle. So you have to be very gentle at the end of the throttle range, or at the beginning, should I say, to really sort of have a nice, smooth deceleration. Because otherwise, it's very easy to have abrupt, stronger deceleration that you didn't necessarily want. So it definitely doesn't drive as nice as its bigger brother, but you know what? For this price point, I really cannot complain. The only thing I might complain about, which kind of annoys me, is that the screens, the infotainment and the digital cluster are a little too bright. I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but at night, throughout the day, it's no problem. But at night, there's so much on the screen and so much graphics. The lowest brightness level is actually too much. It's a little almost blinding for the driver. It's a little annoying. And also, as far as the graphics are concerned, I would say that even though they're nice, to look at, they're too busy. There's too much fancy stuff going around, and you get used to it, but it's just too much. I'd like a little bit more minimalistic, perhaps.